Hi, I'm Malak Fuad, and welcome again to What I Did Next Encore, where I check in with some of your favorite alumni guests. Today, I'm reconnecting with one of the guests from our first ever season, advertising director Ali. At the time, Ali was exploring feature films and had co-founded Good People Films. They've since launched a short film and are exploring the film market in Saudi Arabia. Is Saudi considered now a bigger market for you than Egypt?
Yeah, with the Forex, أكيد.
طبعا. Yeah.
Not in terms of number of jobs, but in terms of
Revenue.
business يعني. بالضبط.
I was under the impression when we were chatting last time that you were trying to make a shift into films and your own long form storytelling. Is that still on the books?
Yes, absolutely. Since we last talked, we've produced a short film that I directed called Smokey Eyes. We shot that last year. We shot that the year before, in December of 2022, and edited it in 2023. So that's done.
Tell us about it a little bit, Ali. What's the story?
Actually, my younger sister wrote the story, and it's a night out in Cairo, basically, that goes terribly wrong.
And it's Arabic or English?
24 minutes long. Arabic.
And in Arabic, it's Bardo. It's an English name?
Smokey Eyes, because it's named after a YouTube tutorial.
Okay.
The name of the tutorial. Yeah.
Tell me, what is it? Why do you pick a short? What is the interest in doing a short film of 20-some minutes as opposed to a longer feature? Apart from cost, I'm assuming, is a major factor, Bardo.
It's. I mean, the reasons are very logical. It's you walk before you run, basically.
Okay.
So it's like learning the ropes, trying things out, getting your hands dirty, all that.
So that's the only reasoning, Yani. You're thinking in terms of
أكيد. Yeah. Plus, I love that story. I've always wanted to do it. I mean, Nancy wrote it like 5 years ago, or 6 years ago. I thought it was a good place to start.
And what did you learn from it?
A lot. That it's a very challenging field, very different than ours. I mean, ours is challenging as well, but in different ways. Plus, I've gotten used to our challenges to a point where they've become, not so challenging.
Give me a sense of a couple of the differences.
Time consumption, for example. This film took over a year to finish. Maybe 5 months.
And that's including the editing, or just the shooting and the...
La. So it's like 6 months of shooting. We only shot 8 days, but we shot them over 6 months. A lot of like problematic issues with permits and things like that.
Okay.
Because it all happens in a car in the streets. We had a lot of issues with permits, and we also have cops in the film that took a lot of delays in order to get their wardrobe. And I mean, in the past, you used to get the wardrobe from a wardrobe guy called مش فاكر كانوا مسمينه حسن جيش أو حسن شرطة أو حاجة كده. And he used to have all the تروحي تقولي له أنا عايزة مقدم ولواء ورائد مثلا, and he has all the wardrobe for that. But so then, like 4 or 5 years ago, they deregulated that, and now it's all through them. They provide the cars and the wardrobe and stuff. So that took forever to get permits for. And then all the difficulties of shooting in the streets of Cairo and being stopped all the time, harassed.
And you don't get that same level of problem when you're doing ads?
No.
Because why is that? You have the backing of big agencies, or what's the difference?
Ads are more contained. Raqaba and government don't care so much about them as much as they do when you're doing content.
And it's much more sanitized. I mean, the content is pretty straightforward.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bess, did you get the bug? I mean, is this a path you want to pursue?
Yes, 100%.
And I know that there's a huge shift to making feature films in Saudi. They're really encouraging and nurturing that industry. Is that a potential venue for you? I mean, is it possible to substitute in terms of locations like they do in the States? They go to Canada, Vancouver, all that, Toronto. Can you substitute Saudi for Egypt? Would it make sense in terms of, would it be simpler to work there?
It depends on the subject matter, obviously.
Yeah.
And my film is all about Cairo. Shooting it outside of Cairo would have been
This one would have been hard, but in the future,
very weird.
Can you plan it that way?
I think in the future, with all the investments they're making in studios and things like that, shooting interiors and big sets and stuff, Saudi will be the biggest player in the region. Also, they've made permits very easy.
Yeah, but that's the thing I'm asking. Yeah,
something that we failed to crack until now for some weird reason. And so, I mean, now any international film production wanting to shoot the pyramids or a story that takes place in Egypt has to go to Morocco, or they go to
Tunisia,
Turkey or
Tunisia.
Yeah, and I think Egypt is one of the hardest places in the world to shoot or film or photograph, or document anything.
And it's been like that for decades.
Yeah, we now have an inherent fear of the camera, which is very absurd considering everybody has a camera today.
Well, also the heritage of Arab cinema.
Yeah, but when you pull out a real camera in Egypt, أول حاجة هتتقلك بتصوري تبع إيه وغالبا هتتشد.
Yeah. It's crazy.
لسه سامع. Yeah.
Do you think that with this competition, with Saudi, biting at our heels, that we're going to get our act together and try and fix this issue? Or are we just going to let it slide like we have a lot of things and say, khalas ba'o, khalas, and, that's it?
I don't see it getting better. Actually, I see it getting worse with time.
Yeah.
Raqaba is getting worse. What you can address as subject matter is getting worse, which is bardo. I mean, I do a lot of comedy and ads, but when I think feature films, I'm always thinking drama and stories and stuff. But النهارده, Raqaba won't allow you to address any social or political issues that happen in the country.
Yeah.
If you want to do a film about a corrupt doctor, for example, that sells people's organs, just as an example, which is a film مثلا called El Hauna, came from Nur Sharif like 20 years ago. You won't get permission for that film. You won't get, let alone permission for a corrupt cop. مثلا film زي Training Day. مثلا.
Sure.
A film about the educational system and
any societal trigger points are off the table.
Whatever, a school teacher that molests kids.
Yeah.
There's thousands of films around the world, Korean, Japanese, about that subject matter. You couldn't do that here.
Yeah.
So, in a way, Raqaba is pushing for all these very superficial, slapstick comedy films.
Vanilla.
And that's what you have in the market النهارده. And I always say it, and I think Egyptian cinema and series are an all-time low. The picture looks better simply because cameras are far better now and it's much easier to light. So yes, I mean, from a cinematographic sense, things look better. But the actual madmoon and content is horrible. It's very hard to watch anything.
Looking back over the last couple of years or 3 years since we spoke, what do you consider to be your biggest achievement?
Well, we've won a lot of awards since we last talked. This year we just won some Silver Lions for a campaign for Flowered, which we did for we did out of Egypt actually, but for a Kuwaiti flower delivery company.
Mm-hmm.
So they won internationally in Cannes in June, which is a huge accomplishment. So you're looking at like maybe 6 other ads globally that have that awards.
One of your more visual successes in the last few months was the South Med campaign with, I think, a hero of yours, Stallone, right?
Stallone.
Tell me about that experience.
I wouldn't call it a visual success. But yeah, obviously meeting Stallone was a milestone.
What's he like?
Always been incredible. Incredible guy. He was weird at first. He was very standoffish and stuff, but then like when he relaxed and started to get to know us and stuff, he became incredibly friendly and wants to come and visit.
We forget what a huge impact he had on cinema with the Rocky series. I mean, it was groundbreaking. He's a huge icon on that level.
Rocky is the first script he ever wrote.
Yeah.
And he wrote it in a fortnight because he had to present it the next morning. And until today, I think it's one of the best movie scripts ever written. And they teach it in any screenwriting course as like the perfect script in terms of timings and beats and when things happen, turning points. And so it's a miracle.
Amazing.
But the Rocky script is a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even, I don't know if you've read the script, but it's a better script than the film. And I love the film.
Oh, as you read it, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible script. None of the producers wanted him to actually play the part. they all wanted to buy the script off him and, you know, cast someone else, but it was his.
Because at the time he wasn't much of an actor, right? At the time,
no, not at all, and probably his casting videos were pretty bad
probably
because of how he stuttered, and
yeah,
obviously his pronunciation wasn't perfect and
yeah,
not very what's the word?
articulate.
Not very articulate. لا خالص. He
Yeah,
couldn't make
yeah.
half the words he's saying.
صح.
Adrian, like that, you know.
Who do you consider to be the biggest influence in your life, like a mentor figure?
My father, obviously, my late father, Akid. And I think one of the biggest influences in my life, and it came very early on, was my art teacher at AUC. Because probably if it wasn't for him, I would have kept going on, you know, the right side of the brain, moved on
your
with,
business
you know,
track.
more computer engineering and programming, which is what I was doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he opened my eyes to the entire kind of left side of the brain, art history, theater, photography, all these things, which made me realize that maybe I'm, you know, cut out for that side more than this side. His name was Paul Rinaldi.
Is he still around?
Yeah, he's just not in Egypt anymore.
Okay.
I think he's in Chicago somewhere. And yeah, he's painting.
Nice.
He's like a Sunday painter. I mean, yeah.
Are you in touch?
Yeah. I write him thank you notes all the time on Facebook.
How cute. If you were to think back and if you were to pick another profession other than the one you're doing, what would you pick?
Architecture.
Nice. Because that kind of brings together a little bit of a technical side with an artistic side, right? It kind of combines your left and right side.
Yes. And in my field, we're constantly building things and building sets and stuff like that. So it's a part that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And so it is a little bit of a venture into architecture and interior design and stuff.
Well, you're creating moods, right? You're creating sets, you're creating atmosphere.
Experiences, worlds.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
I like that.
We're dealing with materials just as they are. You know, we're dealing with wood, with concrete, with, you know, plaster, leather, everything.
We forget that, actually, because you have to physically create everything from scratch. You forget that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is a typical day for you like?
I think I don't have a typical day. That's what's typical. Every day is different.
And you like that? That suits you?
And it doesn't. I wish I had a routine.
Yeah.
But literally every day is different. My office hours are different every day. Where I work out in the morning is different. I probably work out in the morning. It's the only constant. But even that is not like in the same place.
Why, if you're in Cairo, why isn't it in the same place?
I don't know. I just mix it up.
So you don't like routine then? Because if you did, that would be the one constant.
I like it, but I can't afford it because we could be shooting till, you know, the late hours of the morning, which doesn't allow me to go to the morning class that I would.
Oh, I see.
Normally.
Okay.
So yeah, but I can't say I have one of these enterprise newsletter routines that I can spell out.
Yeah, and basically your day is determined by your shooting schedule, by what you're working on that week. I mean, that's how it gets determined, right?
Calls, yes, absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Okay, we're going to move into a very fun, quick fire round. So I don't want you to overthink it. I just want you to say what comes to mind. Okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. Ready to go?
Go ahead.
All right. TV ads or long form narratives?
TV ads.
Catchy jingle or atmospheric acoustics?
Atmospheric acoustics.
Crowds or solitary pursuits?
Solitary pursuits.
In your creative mode, do you dream in Arabic or in English?
Both.
What is your favorite activity?
Playing paddle.
You play it regularly?
At least.
At the moment.
I try to play twice a week.
It's become a huge thing in Cairo. There are courts everywhere now.
Yes, absolutely.
Have you tried pickle?
No. I think pickle is more in the US.
I think so. It's a space issue, right? They go for something smaller there, I think. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
What is your least favorite activity?
My least favorite activity?
And don't say doing this interview with you. I'll kill you.
Podcast.
Don't say that. Find something else.
My least favorite activity would have to be like Zoom calls.
Do you have a lot of them?
Yeah, I have a painful number of Zoom calls every day.
What bothers you about them?
Nothing, just how easy they are to set up. We didn't have that pre-corona. It's like, let's have a Zoom call.
Yeah.
You know, we used to meet physically, but we used to meet a lot less.
Yeah, but it saves on traffic and time, right? It's a huge game changer that way.
Well, that's the problem. That it makes absolute sense. So there's a lot more of them.
Yeah.
But you don't have bandwidth. You don't have bandwidth for 8 Zoom calls a day.
No. And do other things.
No one does. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Last two things. I'm going to read out the beginning of a sentence and I want you to finish it. I have a hard time
concentrating.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have ADHD?
Absolutely.
Do you really? Are you diagnosed?
Yes, absolutely.
When were you diagnosed?
As a kid, 3rd grade.
Wow, that's that early on.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was very unusual, right? For that to be picked up.
Yeah, and it was picked up by my 3rd grade teacher, and she called my parents in and she said, "I think your son needs to be medicated."
That's incredible because 3rd grade is really young to have that flagged, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you take medication?
No, never.
You never did.
I tried Adderall and Ritalin.
Yeah.
Recently, like a couple of years ago. And it helped me a lot, but I didn't want to be dependent on them, so I stopped.
But presumably as a kid, if you had it from such a young age, you figured out how to cope with it, right? You figured out techniques.
Yeah. And people around me know when I'm like not in the room, which happens all the time.
What do you do? I mean, what are your techniques? Because there's so many people around us and kids around us that have it. It would be, useful to know how to cope with it.
It's a beast. It's really hard to.
Yeah.
It's not fun living with ADHD.
There are different kinds, right? Are you the impulsive kind, or are you the attention deficit kind? There's different forms.
I'm both.
Of it.
I'm impulsive and attention deficit, both.
Yeah.
So even during this interview, I'm half here, half not.
No, we're nearly done. Don't worry.
And I do like a million things at the same time.
Yeah.
I can only function like that. So I'm doing this call and I'm editing. And my editor here we're editing.
But the physical side is important, right? You have to like plug exercise into your life to let all that energy out.
Yes, and it's really hard to like be present and mindful.
So final question, then you can go off and multitask with something.
لا خالص, take your time.
One more thing. Last thing is I get joy from
my kids.
What do you do with them?
Everything. Activities, cooking, traveling.
How old are they now?
7 and 4.
Oh, how cute. Those are great ages.
Old enough to have conversations, yet not too old to be annoying.
Absolutely. Wait for the teenage years.
Yeah.
That was my encore catch-up with Ali. We'll continue this segment each month with more of the show's alumni, so stay tuned. And if you haven't already done so, you can listen to my encore conversations with Omar Samra, Nada Dibs, Ahmed Alfi, and Nadine Kanso. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Malak Fuad, and the show is produced by Chirag Desai. You can watch all of our episodes on YouTube and connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and on X. Remember, we'd love to get your feedback, so please reach out to us on any of the platforms. I'll be back again next week with a new guest. Hope you can join me then.